Hello, I'm Paul Barrett, CTO for NETSCOUT Enterprise and Federal Businesses. I'd like to spend about 10 minutes talking about leveraging NETSCOUT's ASI Smart Data for maximum visibility. And I'd like to do this by introducing some of NETSCOUT's capabilities, and in particular something called Adaptive Service Intelligence for Smart Data. So let's think about our digital transformation initiatives. For me, these are all about agility, whether it's business agility or mission agility. I have to be able to respond to new opportunities rapidly. But perhaps more importantly, I also have to be able to respond to threats and to disruption in my environment. And the best way for me to achieve that is through automation, because through automation, I can achieve far more than I can with individual people or even teams of people. I also want to look at leveraging machine learning. This is so that I can do things with an accuracy, or perhaps at a scale, or just at a speed that I can't achieve, again, with human beings. But to be successful with both machine learning and automation, I have to have high quality data. My machine learning is only as good as the quality of the data I use to train it and to actually feed it during operational times. And at NETSCOUT, we passionately believe that our ASI Smart Data is a terrific source of data, both for driving and training machine learning, but also for feeding automation. But there's another use of smart data, and that's providing independent visibility. Automation is great at taking things and tasks and replicating them at massive scale very rapidly. But if you trace all automation back, ultimately there's a piece of software that at some point was written by a human being. And humans introduce bugs and they make copy and paste errors. So what happens when I have a bug in my automation software? It has the possibility of being replicated at massive scale. Similarly with machine learning, now I've worked with machine learning for most of my career, and there's kind of one thing I can guarantee: no matter how good you think it is, at some point it's going to throw you a curveball. So having independent visibility means that when things do go wrong, I can detect them rapidly, I can get on top of them, and I can troubleshoot them and get back to normal situation. So just digging in a bit more into what Adaptive Service Intelligence Smart Data is. Well, first, it's all derived from packets. We're very passionate about packets, as I mentioned, because we see them as the ultimate source of truth in any operational environment. We also recognize that our customers are amongst the largest and most complex in the world. So we have these environments, these multi-cloud hybrid environments. We need to think about data centers and also co-location facilities, the public cloud, and then software-defined data center initiatives, things like VMware, NSX, Cisco ACI. We've also made sure that we have multiple form factors available for our packet processing, whether that's a physical appliance, a COTS software-only solution, or a fully virtualized appliance. And we've made sure that we run across lots of different platforms, whether it's VMware, KVM, VM Cloud on AWS. We're even looking at being able to deploy on individual Kubernetes pods. And of course, it's all about the metrics. That's what data's about. So we have all this rich information about application errors, application latency, throughput, and then we have specialist metrics for things like audio and video quality. And also we provide that dimensional data so you can slice and dice and fully analyze the data that you have. So now I want to talk about a concept called visibility without borders. And if I can just start with what a typical NETSCOUT deployment looks like. On the left, I've shown physical appliances taking copies of the packets from the network, processing them to produce smart data. And then on the right-hand side, I've shown the vStream, which is the fully virtualized version of our InfiniStream probe. And as I mentioned, there's lots of different platforms that can be deployed on. So these guys do the hard work, they generate the metadata, that's sent up to the application servers that deliver the workflows and the reporting and the analytics. And finally, my global manager gives me a single point of configuration and a place from where I can deploy distributed queries across my whole deployment, because this architecture just scales horizontally, really as far as you need it to. So if we just think about this sort of simplified hybrid multi-cloud environment, where am I going to instrument? Well, the first place I nearly always go is at the edge of the data center. That gives me visibility of all of my external facing applications and services from the perspective of those people who are consuming them. And then if I want to dig a little bit deeper into that physical data center, I can use smaller InfiniStreams, maybe put them top of rack, for example. I might want to look at shared enabling services or mission critical applications. A lot of customers are deploying in colo sites because they're typically going to have those direct connections with the public cloud, but also increasingly direct peering connections with SaaS providers such as Office 365. And then I can bring in the virtual probes. With these, I can deploy in public cloud. I can't send a physical appliance to AWS and ask them to install it, but I can deploy a fully virtualized probe and analyze the packet flows that way. I can do similar things with managed infrastructure in my data centers, and frankly, just anywhere where it makes more sense to use a smaller virtual probe. And one of the concepts that I like to talk about is progressive visibility. You start at the key aggregation locations, and then you work your way in. So in public cloud, I might then instrument the edge of a VPC, for example, before I finally think about maybe looking at east-west traffic between individual workloads. And of course, we mustn't forget these remote locations are remote facilities. And again, there are a number of deployment form factors that I can use to instrument those. For example, I might want to think about putting a vStream virtual agent on my unified CPE alongside my SD-WAN software. And of course, the world doesn't stop there. We have our synthetic transactions in the form of our nGenius Pulse endpoint agents in the number of form factors, a couple of sizes of physical transaction agents, but also software agents which can be deployed at the location of home office workers. And I can bring all of this together. So really, I do have visibility without borders. I have all of these different options, all tuned and optimized for different deployment locations. So there really shouldn't be any part of my IT infrastructure that I'm not capable of instrumenting. So what do I do with this data? Now, as I've mentioned, we have our nGenius One platform that provides a whole set of workflows and reports and troubleshooting capabilities. But sometimes customers want to take our data and use it for other purposes. A number of reasons for this. For example, they may have users who just like to live in another platform, such as Splunk, or maybe Elasticsearch, or they like to do their reporting in Power BI. They may have already built an artificial intelligence or machine learning platform, so they want to take our data and apply their AI and ML to that. And then also, sometimes data just needs to be put into a data lake so it can be co-resident with other data sources, because that can open up all sorts of new cases. Oftentimes, this might be enrichment data. So, for example, I might have a database of all of my IoT devices. If I know the IP address at any one given point in time and the function and identity of that IoT device, that's a really great way of enriching the NETSCOUT data that tells you about the performance and the activity of those devices, just as an example. So we have a product called ASI Streamer that very efficiently collects our metadata from the physical InfiniStream appliances and from the virtual vStream probes. And it also takes some of the configuration data, combines that into a very actionable data set. And one of the export mechanisms that we support and we actually recommend is the use of a Kafka bus. So Kafka is a publish-subscribe mechanism. I can publish once, I can subscribe many times. And for those of you familiar with Kafka, you'll know that each data feed is called a topic. And we have topics relating to network activity, the servers we've discovered, and the behavior and performance of the applications running on those servers. So just to summarize, I started off by positioning the NETSCOUT ASI Smart Data in the context of digital transformation, both as a source of data, but also as a source of independent visibility. I talked about visibility without borders, our ability to deploy virtually anywhere in a hybrid multi-cloud environment. And finally, I just finished off by touching on our data export capabilities and how you can take NETSCOUT Smart Data and really send it to any third-party platform that you would like to. Thank you for your attention. That's all.